I love that fucking intro. Thank God. I mean, like, if you have, not just because I made it, but because that song is so killer. And I just love that. It's just like you get a fucking fuzzy 80s synthy type of organ going on and stuff like that, and you get some spooky stuff. I just love that. Dude, people sleep on the YouTube audio library. You can get all this shit for free. Anyway, I'm gonna stop yakking about that. How's everybody doing over there? My name is Sean Tank Top. We're over here. We are doing our weekly Lovecraft Country live stream Thursdays. We are doing them every Thursday. We are here to talk about this motherfucking episode, and this is an episode that we got a lot to say about. I got myself Dustin and Morgan over there. I got the Draces. What's going over there, Draces?
Hey, hi.
Awesome to see you guys. But the thing about this show, especially this week's episode, is that there's such a lot to chew on, a lot of information, a lot of fun stuff, and like a lot of kind of controversial things. And we decided that it couldn't and it shouldn't just be a couple of us, a bunch of pasty melanin-less fucking motherfuckers talking about this show. And so we wanted to reach out to one of our favorite reactors that we have, like for this show and in general, Miss Tamika Harley, aka Manic Meeks on YouTube. How are you doing, dear?
Great. The wine is kicking in. It's lovely.
Oh my God, absolutely. If that isn't how you do, that's how you do a live stream. It's kind of like when you're shooting pool. It's like if you get the buzz just in the mid range, then you're gonna be just loose enough to not overthink it, and you're gonna be. But you know what I'm saying? Like or at least that's how I like to live stream. But anyway, we welcome the great Manic Meeks to the channel. How are you doing, dear? Oh my God! Everybody say hi.
Hi, y'all.
Everybody say hi in the comments. Look at this. Oh my God, we got everybody. It's like, I'm so excited for this. Tamika. Here we go. I'm loving it. Everybody's all up with it right now. And I'm very, very glad to see everybody on the stream right now. We're already up to 60 viewers. Just so in case any of you guys are not familiar, and you should be, with Tamika's work, with Meek's work, I cooked up a little bit of a clip. I gotta admit though, I was calling for
highlight reel.
It's a little highlight reel. It's like it's one of those things where it's like you get this shit when you're either like on like a talk show.
I know. I feel so special.
I know you. I mean, this is like our own little talk show and stuff like that. And we feel very great to have you on. We're very lucky to have you on, and I think it's going to be a great conversation. But just in case anybody who has not checked out Meeks' stuff on Lovecraft Country and a plethora of other things, like because I mean, like we'll talk about all the other things that you do, but I just wanted to give you guys a taste. This is only material from episode 1, but it was what hooked me on to your channel, and it's what made me want to have you be a part of it. Just bask in this reaction.
I sure will. Go ahead.
Oh.
Is that Beyonce? I could believe that. I'm not fighting nothing. I'm going to take my black ass and I'm going to scooch in a corner and I'm going to sit there and I'm going to be silent. Why don't you light stuff on fire? I'm a full proponent of lighting things ablaze. Good. I hope something eats your ass. I hope they eat your entire asshole. Eat the whole thing from the rooter to the motherfucking tutor. Please eat all of the mean white people. Yeah, get that one. Nah, and nah, with nah on top of nah, and then some more nah. Bruh, I can't. Bruh.
I mean, if that doesn't give you like at least some of the things that you're gonna want while you watch this show, I mean, do yourself a favor, head on over to Meeks' channel, give her a like, give her a subscribe. She's also over on Instagram.
I don't remember saying.
That's the funny part.
I remember it.
That's
I'll
very
never
true.
forget it.
That's very true. I mean, that's what we were talking about that a little bit before when we came on in the fact that like, you know, sometimes you're in. That's the fun thing because we've done like other than the bar stuff, we've done stuff where we're kind of rewatching it and doing a lot of commentary and stuff. And now that we've kind of been doing straight up reactions, especially kind of since we've been in quarantine, and we kind of started doing more of that. I definitely kind of don't remember like a lot of the things that I say, or just like you just have sort of a natural reaction that kind of isn't. Maybe it's just like sometimes like I'm going back and I'm watching the tape and I'm just like, really, Tank Top, really? That's what you said. That's what you said right there. So that happens with me all the. Yeah, actually, I mean the hat is iconic. Rooter to the motherfucking tutor.
Yeah, it is. I'm officially a black auntie. Nobody knows how old I am until I say it, and then I'm like, damn, if you can't tell by my verbiage.
Right. That's the dead giveaway.
Tell.
That's the dead giveaway. But so what else do you do just to tell everybody, just other briefly, other than that little piece, what else do you cover? What are the things that you're working on your channel?
I am doing the absolute most right now. Everybody else is home from quarantine and corona. I'm not. I still go to work and I do all this. So I watch I dabble in K-drama. I started that and it's a problem. If you've never watched a K-drama, for the love of God, watch a K-drama.
Okay.
They are amazing. So I watch K-dramas. I do other live action shows. I do anime. I do gameplay when there's a game I want to play. I love hidden object games. I will always and forever play one.
Okay.
There should be one every single day.
Okay.
It's just point and click, and it's so much fun. But those are the things I usually do. I have collectibles, as you can see in the back here.
That was another thing I did want to ask you just a little bit about, because I know that there's because I've we're a fan of Funko Pops. We got a handful of them over here in Casa de Tank Top, and Casa de Drace has more than has a couple. I know that I've even gifted you guys a couple. Didn't I give you guys? I gave you like an Ewok. I think I also got you like a cabbage merchant from Avatar: The Last Airbender. So we know about that. How many Funko Pops are we talking over there, Tamika?
I haven't updated my pop price guide in a quite a while because I started moving. I just moved into this place, so why everything's in disarray.
Sure.
But at last count, it was 430.
Holy.
One for every day of the week, and then some. Huh? and a couple for brunch, and maybe one for after bed.
Yep.
Huh?
I even got the giant life-size Yoda.
He's hell
upstairs.
Yeah.
I don't know where to put him because he won't fit on any shelf. So I just have him upstairs in a box.
I love that. Even though I'm sure that, and you keep them all in a box, like they're
absolutely sacrilege to open the box.
Absolutely. But even though like me being the dipshit non-collector that I am, I would definitely, that's just an opportunity for like a Godzilla Yoda to be stomping all over all of the other Funkos and stuff like that. That could be a lot of fun. Well, shit. Well, anyway, so what we brought you on here for is not necessarily, even though it's really awesome to be talking about Funko Pop with you, Tamika, and maybe one of these days we'll have to do like a Funko Fridays or something like that, a live stream. You should maybe look into doing a live stream on that on your channel at some point. If you need a guest, I would love to join. But what we're talking about over here was the 4th episode of season 1 of Lovecraft Country. This episode title is A History of Violence. It's directed by Victoria Mahoney, written by Misha Green, story by Wes Taylor. This was, I would say, is this the wildest episode of the show thus far in a certain sense? I think in all the ways that we're kind of admittedly in a show that has been fucking like asses to elbows wild episodes. But
I was gonna say, I wish you would have been with us last week, because last week I was like hell yeah, this show's fucking amazing, this is the best show ever. Then this week I'm like, I have some fucking thoughts.
Yeah, a little bit. I think that's we've been talking about this since we released our reaction video the other day, insofar as they can't all be bangers. They can't all be. You're not gonna have, even though I do still think that the jury is still out on this episode. I think that we got a couple things to address. We got a couple things to kind of take a look at and to see how they play out before we can kind of base our full critique on this episode.
I like this episode. I like it a lot. It's one of my favorites. This is one of my favorites.
No. That's just, I think it was, for me, it was like everything up until the end scene.
Oh yeah, fuck that. fuck that. I didn't like that.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, it was fun.
Yeah.
It was fun, and then the end scene, you're like, fuck this. You always have to get us in the end, twist the knife. But
yeah,
I think everything. It's the first time we're actually like having an adventure.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, this is fun.
And then they put a question mark at the end instead of a period, and you're just like,
yeah.
Right. Yeah. Totally.
Exactly. Like,
no, it was like we were eating this awesome meal. Like we basically went to like nerd Chuck E. Cheese because it was like it was also before we get going, by the way, before I get into nerd Chuck E. Cheese and whatever the fuck analogy that's gonna end up being once I get out. Just another shout out to everybody to let you know to get on our super chat zone that we're gonna have going throughout the entire episode. We are going to be profiling a new nonprofit for this week. It's going to be the Native Youth Sexual Health Organization. It's based out of the U.S. and Canada. It basically kind of essentially is it's an LGBTQIA nonprofit that is specifically for Native American and Two-Spirit youths that helps people across the country. I figure that would be since the ending of this episode since the end of this episode has a pretty harsh kind of like turn.
Justice for Yahima.
Justice for Yahima is definitely a thing. But it is definitely one of the things that I thought that would be important that we could do for this week. So anyone who chips in with a super chat, if it doesn't kind of correlate with exactly what we're talking about, we're going to save it towards the end of the episode. So anyone that hits us up with a super chat we will talk about it. We will address, like, if you got a theory, if you got a question, even if you just want to just chip in and be like, here, this is to help the cause and everything like that. Last week, we raised exactly $100 for the Milwaukee Bond Fund to help all of the Black Lives Matter protesters that are out in Kenosha and that are out in Milwaukee. And I was really proud of that. That was more than we've ever fucking raised in any of the live streams that we've done before. I hope that we can do better this week. I hope that we can. And you know that all of that money is going to help the Native Youth Sexual Health Network, which I'm very, very pleased that we're going to be doing that for this. So hit us up with those super chats, y'all. If you got something that you want us to address, we will take care of it. And then we'll either talk about it at the end of the episode or we'll address it if it's kind of something that we're talking about in and of the moment. I'm going to put the scroller down right there. And so what I meant to say about before that was interesting about this episode was we kind of got to go to it was Black Nerd Chuck E. Cheese. Kind of. Insofar as it's like, you know what? We're going to have these awesome, strong Black characters go on an Indiana Jones adventure. They're going to have a little National Treasure type of action. They're going to have a little sprinkling of the Mummy. We're going to do a little Goonies action. It kind of seems like it was all these. We got to inhabit, kind of much like most of the other episodes in this season. We got to inhabit our heroes into like another flavor of movie, which to me that was the most exhilarating part. And then also some of the cool, fun, like kind of weird, sexy stuff that's going on with Ruby and Christina Bill, whatever the fuck they are, you know, like insofar like that was also fun. And then kind of watching Hippolyta kind of become a little more engaged in the story and kind of starting to be like, no. Like, we're going to go see what the fuck this is all about. Cause people are lying. People are lying on me right now, and so I need to get out to Artem, even though I am afraid for Hippolyta going to Artem. I mean, like, protect them at all costs. So, this episode, it was directed by Victoria Mahoney, American filmmaker. She did what was the name of it? It was Yelling to the Sky. She was also the second unit director on Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker, which maybe would speak to some of the, like, how, I don't know, like, it was great on the adventure, and then sometimes where I felt like it needed to have like a little more kind of room to breathe with certain elements of it. It was just going through. But anyway, let's kind of talk about, like, Tamika, what was this episode. What was this episode about, or what were your general thoughts on this episode?
I felt like this was an informational adventure episode.
Totally.
Because as they were running around trying to put the pieces of the puzzle together, they were providing us, the watchers, with more information. And that's why I love this episode, because I got tired of going, what? Why? What is this for? Where are we
100%.
going? And so now I know that they are trying to find the pages of Adam, and they're supposedly under the museum, which is actually under the house. So
yeah, that is right. That somehow that was like a wee bit of it. That we'll talk about that when we get to it. But yeah, there was one
time travel. They explained
Time
it.
travel.
Time
I thought it was a
Time
portal.
travel doesn't make a house both in Chicago and Boston.
A portal does, though. See?
Yeah.
Time travel.
The same argument me and Sean had about Montrose, where I'm like, wizards. I'm like, no, he's just drunk. Like, you thought he was drunk. I thought it was wizards.
I thought he was possessed.
See,
we're gonna
okay.
get into that.
Okay.
We're gonna get into that.
This is why I'm glad we have Tamika here.
Yeah, 100%. Like Tamika's going to be breaking ties. I feel like left and right, which sometimes is needed. Draces, what about you? What was your main takeaways from this episode?
My main thing that I was really thinking about was Montrose and Tick's relationship, where Tick doesn't want to be his father's son, really, with the whole like anger stuff. But Tick's plan to just shoot Christina and get the fuck out of town was actually very Montrose-like, but also it was a good plan. Had it worked. It's been him trying to like separate himself from his father, even though like had he shot her in the face, like honestly, she doesn't have any family left. All the cult people hate her. So it would have worked, kind of.
we need some big Montrose action.
Yeah, as opposed to Montrose
at the realist thing. Yeah.
As opposed to Montrose's whole kill Yahima for reasons.
For reasons that I think that we will eventually kind of.
I know.
But I want to know now.
Yeah, I need to know yesterday.
Exactly.
Also, we're starting out on a great foot. Shout out to Miss Pete and shout out to Luminara843. We're definitely going to get to those things. We appreciate y'all very much for throwing in on the super chats. We're right off to a great start. But anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Dee. I just wanted to shout out.
Actually, I'm really curious to see what your take is on this, Tamika. Where it's like, for me, I saw all the references they were doing. I mean, they were doing straight up Indiana Jones. They were doing the Goonies. They were doing Pirates of the Caribbean, and they were doing National Treasure even. You know, we've got all of a sudden we've got our black heroes, right? And they're gonna have these adventures. And to me, I was like, fuck yeah, this is awesome. But they were just boom, 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 and we didn't get to sit in the adventure. You know, like to me,
that is
you wanted more.
I wanted, you know, the fun of the Goonies is that you could kind of like be on the ride with them, and you're like, oh, if he pushes the piano of the bones, then that thing will happen. You know, you push a button and a thing happens. Whereas like all of a sudden, it's just you have Montrose being like, I'm gonna recite this thing that I memorized, and then you open a door, and we never saw what the door looked like. We didn't have enough time.
Right.
That is true.
It was a lot. I mean, I will say, even though, but this is a show that does a lot. Like it does. Yeah. It basically like it kind of has like these kind of mini movies, but within this one, there was like 3 mini movies inside the mini movie. You know what I mean?
I would have liked if they've done this piece by piece throughout some of the episodes, as opposed to just giving us one episode of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Hopefully they have more of this in future episodes, because this was just really fun. And it's just like we got all this information at once, and now we were left with the question. So now it feels like they have to start all over again with building up to finding the answers to the questions that they left us at the end. And I'm just like, can we get like a little bit of adventure in all of this? Like, I don't mind the white racist dying. I don't mind seeing Blinky. I don't mind the elevator of death. Like, I love all those things. But I kind of want to have a little adventure with the elevator of death.
You wanted to maybe like you spread. It's like they took the entire can of peanut butter and put it on a single slice.
Yeah, now it's stuck to the roof of your mouth. Now you're like choking a little bit. like a thirsty.
Even though I've been having flashbacks to my breakfast this morning, just being a gluttonous bitch. But no, so I think that's all. I think that's all well said. I mean, but I think insofar as, because I think it just like insofar as like the breakneck pacing of it, Dustin, I think, or how about, like, what I was thinking was maybe you could have traded like one kind of adventure trope. You could have maybe saved like one thing. I don't know exactly what it would have, where exactly they would have taken it, but like maybe like 2 or 3 minute set piece and turn that into a scene with like maybe a little more dialogue about maybe like how like Montrose perceives her as a threat, like perceives the Two-Spirit as a threat, like or how just his maybe like, because he started out in the opening scene, he was kind of losing it. He's thinking about Uncle George's death. He's thinking about his life. I mean, there were bits of there were definitely bits of like dialogue in there that were that seemed like they were indicative of people that kind of keep like insinuating that he is gay. And we kind of really don't know if Montrose is queer or not in this show. Like, they haven't really, like, they brought it up. They bring it up several times in this episode as like people are suspicious of it. I think what was it, that one asshole that they bring along with them? Tree, right? Yeah,
they gave him a ride and he
disappeared. Where'd he go? Did he go to his destination?
He's in Philadelphia.
He went to Philly with his Philly.
He's in Philly with his Philly. Well, honestly though, they can fucking keep him. Fucking who cares? Like, even if he like that was, even though I didn't want necessarily Tree to die, but if there was one thing where he like, what if he was like following with them? He's like,
someone had to be sacrificed. I volunteer you for tribute.
Right. I mean, like, even though
they should have kept him, and had him walk ahead.
And that would have been like an Indiana Jones. Like, you have like the classic, like the guy who goes forward and he ends up tripping up the booby trap or whatever. But then again, I don't think they would necessarily. I don't think, even though Tree is a giant douchebag, I don't necessarily know that we need to have.
Doesn't deserve to die.
Maybe not. But
in this like show, there's people that deserve to die.
There's like,
so Tree is kind of in the grand scheme of evil.
You're annoying.
No,
you don't deserve to die.
Yeah, was he our short round? Was he our comic relief?
Interesting.
Because like basically he got 2 jokes.
Yeah, the Tree joke was really funny.
The tree joke was pretty funny, and Letitia like smacking him down. She's like, "Shouldn't I know that?
Didn't we fuck already?
Yeah,
Did you tell everyone we fucked?"
That was cool. And then when he kind of pulls like a Kramer, you think they got dinosaurs? They got dinosaurs. That was cute. Like, it was fun.
I was into Tree in that moment, and I was like, this guy might not be all bad.
Right, because that is totally me. Like, I asked that question, do they got dinosaurs? I mean, like, whenever I go to a museum, if I'm going to the movies, like a funeral, I'm just like, are there dinosaurs going to be there? Because, like, I just want, even though obviously I don't say
Wait, did you say at a funeral? Wait, what?
I go
to a funeral.
It was like, there's no dinosaurs. Because there's gonna be dinosaurs at my funeral. Like, there's gonna be like, I'm like, everybody who's gonna do the processional and carry my casket are gonna be wearing the T-Rex like outfits, like those inflatable T-Rex outfits. That's gonna be in my will. That's like, that's
a carry your casket with those little arms though.
You can get there. They can get him on the side. It can work. I've seen people bartend entire shifts in those blow up T-Rex things. So
they had to be sweating and smelling like ball juice because it's got to be.
They were. I was just like, I hope it was worth it, because like, you're gonna have to like throw the whole ass bathroom out, like, after this shift. You know what I mean? But yeah, I mean, I think it was like, it was fun. It was kind of like, it's kind of what happened, honestly, Dustin. We were talking, it's what happened when you watched Rise of Skywalker, because it was kind of fun and throwing a lot at you. And then maybe like after you were done and you thought about a couple of things, you're like, wait a minute, did they explain that? Like,
Justin had a problem with the cobwebs and the flooding catacombs. He's like, if it floods every night,
why are they cobwebs?
Like the rocks would have had like moss on them, right? Like,
true.
It looked like a Party City Halloween cavern,
Mhm.
and I was like,
there you go.
Party City.
Yeah, I mean that's like, if I'm gonna die, I would die in a cave that looks like Party City. You know what I mean? So I think that there's a lot to love, and there's a lot to kind of chew on about this episode. I think that we can kind of go on to we'll start going on to our kind of like our bullet points of everything. So let's talk about our favorite scene of the episode. I know that the Draces, you guys have picked one out. What were you guys saying? And I think this one was mine too. We'll let the Draces go, or Tamika, do you want to go first?
Oh no, let's hear let's hear what you guys.
All right, okay.
My favorite scene, I would have to be, but also I'm kind of biased because she's one of my top characters from the book. The scene with Hippolyta and Diana in the planetarium.
God. Yes.
I just really hope they don't shortchange us on Hippolyta's story, because like her story in the book is like was one of my favorite chapters. It's one of like, I love her backstory. I love her like love of like stargazing and her just, I don't know, I'm not gonna give too much away, but she's a great character. So I was just like, just to get a little taste of that, and I think it was really smart. They changed it from the books, where in the book she actually named Pluto. But somebody else, a white girl, also came up with the name Pluto, so they put the white girl's name, even though... So she didn't know for sure if they rejected her because she was a black girl.
Right.
It was like plausible deniability. She's like, well, it's kind of... It's a cold, dark planet. It makes sense. All the things are named after gods, so it's like somebody probably else made up that name as well as I did. I like in this one, she's like, no, I did name it. And I know for a fact I named it.
She like on the planet, like an astronaut, like on the planet, like literally planted the fucking Hippolyta flag. It's like, I named this motherfucker.
Yeah, and Dee's reaction was so cute. She's like, my mom named that comet. Like, and I was like, now everybody knows.
You're going to tell everybody. You're going to tell everybody loud as hell. My mama named that. My mama did it. That's what you're going to do.
Going to school and yelling that.
She's like
telling everyone.
I absolutely no, Diana. She's like she's like, all right, where can I put my application? And then you guys don't hire kids, but I want to work at this planetarium specifically to tell every motherfucker that comet was named by my mother.
Exactly.
I think I'm tracking with you guys 100% insofar as that was a lovely scene. Again, kind of interweaving, like, historically what has happened to like a lot of black intellectuals like throughout the hundreds of years that happens when even though it's like well, yes, you did the work and you found it and you named it, but we can't give your ass credit.
Yeah, like listen, but did you really?
Right.
Did you?
But then they kind of wrapped it in like this really beautiful kind of scene of like reclamation of the biggest. Again, this is just becoming more and more apparent that like some of the biggest things, for good or ill, this show is about reclaiming your story, your history, not letting it be written by an oppressor, by the patriarchy, by all of that type of stuff. And so that was, I think that was like in a scene unto itself. It's like, just like watch that when you fucking wake up in the morning and you're just like, oh my God, I got the good vibes going and stuff like that. Thank you, Diana. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I think that's well said. What were you thinking? What were you thinking, Tamika?
I just think it's just something. It reminds me of being at a Black family event where somebody was cooking, like everybody had stuff on the table, and they were like, "Damn, who made this?" Monty made that. She made the potato salad. She made the potato salad.
Right.
The potato salad slap, don't it? Yeah. And like, she made the potato salad. So it's just like letting everybody know that you put your foot in it, you put your ankle in it.
Yeah.
And if my mama did the same thing, I'm about to be loud as hell. I'll be telling everybody, like, hey, I know you're a bum on the street in your sleep, but guess what? My mama didn't stop. Guess what?
you get the loudspeaker out or whatever it was, and just
exactly. It's like that gif of Azalea Banks with the microphone, like, That. That's what we do. Like, we're gonna say it out loud in your face, and you're just not gonna get around it. Like, it was just sweet, and it was just kind, and it just showed a little more Hippolyta. I like Hippolyta, and just the way her face lights up when she gets to talk about astronomy, and especially since her husband is now dead, and that was another thing that just lit her up from the inside. So now she has something else to focus on to make her happy, and she's like, "This Ori, what about this Ori? What about these stars? You know, I named that," and it's just things that make her feel good. And she needs
I love that. That was another one where I love the scene where she was on the phone with her dad, who clearly was like, even just a couple things you could hear on the phone. You could tell that, like, this is what they love to call each other and get together and nerd out about. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, and like when, and like how she's, you know, and because I remember I was one of the things I was like, oh wait, why like, oh, she took it. Holy shit! Wow.
Yeah. First of all, where'd she put it? Like, did she just literally carry it out there and nobody said anything?
That's what I'm a little bit confused on that.
Because I don't care how big your purse is. Your purse is not big enough for that.
Oh, well, how did Letty not remember that? Like,
I think it was in the locked room, and it was unlocked.
She was the first one. I think she might have been the first one to maybe go see it. I think.
And Letty was busy with Tick.
She was busy.
Right.
They were having a little meeting in the ladies' room.
Yeah. Her legs were at 10 and 2.
Exactly. No, but I remember that was so. I mean, but that also speaks to, because we've all been to a fucking baller ass house party. I am pretty sure that somebody could have, at house parties that I've thrown and house parties that I've been to, when you get to like 2:30, like where we're like, most of the smart people have gone home, but the hardcore motherfuckers are still there, and they're gonna keep going for at least another hour and a half or something. So right around 3, if you were smart, like certainly in my house, you probably could have stole my couch, and I would have been like, hey man, I'll help you move that if you want. It's cool, dude. You know what I mean? Like I know that, like, so that would kind of be that would be Hippolyta kind of working the game. It's like, okay, I'm gonna hang out till 3, and then I can fucking walk away. I could walk away with that and one of the pianos if I wanted to. You know what I mean? Oh my God. But yeah, that was one. Yeah, that was. So I think that's a really good scene. Was there any other scenes that stuck out to you, Tamika, before we move on?
Yeah. Montrose in the beginning. We kind of touched on that.
Oh,
where at first I was like, he was just drunk. I was like, oh, he's just drunk. You know, he's just thinking. I thought about it. And I'm like, listen to what he said. And at the end, he said, it smells like Tulsa. And I was like, Tulsa, wasn't that in the early 20s? Where are we at? Like, how old are you? You wouldn't have known you wouldn't have known what Tulsa smelled like. Well, how do you know what Tulsa smells like?
I think it's about, what is it? It's like mid 1950s. And Tulsa happened in 21, I believe. Yeah. I think that Montrose is
a child.
Well, wasn't he saying that somebody with a bat came and saved him and George in Tulsa?
Yes.
Yeah, so then what's her name? Dora. Is her name Dora? The dead wife. His dead wife.
Montrose's wife, and possibly
because she was talking to Uncle. I call him Uncle because I don't remember his name. She's talking to Uncle. And she was like, remember back in Tulsa, we used to do this, and that. And I'm like, that's the 3rd time they've mentioned it. So I'm like, where are we going with this?
Right. I think it kind of speaks to, like, that was it. I think that Tulsa kind of seemed to be, it was sort of like it was definitely like a jump off point of which after that happened, after, you know, a bunch of fucking like dipshit white supremacists raised like Tulsa to the ground, essentially. It was a big kind of trauma point. And I think it was kind of where I think like Uncle George and Montrose kind of split. Like, because clearly like Uncle George is the one that's like a little more put together, not as deeply troubled. And Montrose is kind of like I guess like just has like the rougher road that he's kind of had
Montrose,
to go on.
Was he the older brother?
I think yes.
So I think this happens a lot in like traumatic families where like the older sibling will protect the younger. And that's my theory on why Uncle George was just like #good dude. And Montrose had, I think Montrose got the brunt of maybe their fathers.
Because he did say that. He did mention that saying that, you know, there was nobody there to protect him or something like that.
He was smaller and he took the brunt of it, I think was the exact line from George. Yeah, I mean, like, it kind of speaks to that, but because there's a lot to unpack. I mean, because like they start out where they're playing all of like the Red Scare stuff, like all that stuff from like, you know, like from the 50s where everybody was worried about communism, and then like and then like they start going, and then you start to go into from the radio, then you start to hear George's voice talking about how Tick might not be his, and then you start to go into like even deeper like set memories, and then there was even like the one where it's like pick the switch. I think was a choose which switch, and like that was the darkest line, I think. And so I think it was one of those things where he was kind of wrestling with, and also like a kind of a weird historical parallel to bring to that, which was like in the time of communism, that was when we were kind of dealing with like the McCarthy era, where we're kind of trying to instill fear of Americans in other Americans, in their neighbors, like where we want to have everybody second guessing, who are you? What are your allegiances? And kind of having our kind of family, if you want to call it, of a country turning against one another. That's definitely something that I feel like carries through with Montrose's character in this episode, where he kind of starts to turn against his own family to fight against the things that they're trying to seek out. It just kind of speaks to that. I don't know if that's necessarily exactly what they were going for, but it was something that was packed into that scene.
It just feels like something is just not right with him.
Yeah.
Like it's just not right.
Yeah, I mean, people are saying in the comments like PTSD, you know, is just like
I think
is a big thing.
I just feel like
Tamika, are you on the Bewitched?
Yes, I think something happened, and him being home and seeing, or either holding that book or reading that book himself triggered something, and that's why he was fighting with himself and like going back and forth about his brother, like we used to do this and that, and all this is happening, and maybe I should just like burn this and get rid of this, and it just something didn't seem right with him, and it's still not right.
I feel like it's also a thing, like when people get like cursed or something, they'll use your own demons against you. So I think if they were like the cult put a hex on him to like get in his own way or his son's way, he's thinking he's doing it for protection because his inner demons are telling him that. But look, it like is actually helping the cult out in some way.
So right, and then the other and to that point, as like a guy who kind of initially was just like, I think Montrose is just desperate and fucked up, and like making like a big desperate move. It's like he essentially, my first read on it initially was the same thing as like the burning of the book, you know, where he's just like, this is super drastic. My brother told me to give this to my son. It was like one of the last things that my fucking brother, who died in my arms, told me to do, and I'm going to light it on fire. You'd have to get pretty shit-faced in order to do that. You know what I mean?
That's beyond shit-faced, because I'm just like thinking, like, what else could you? What, like, why would he tell you that?
But then also kind of like he was. But to Morgan's point, I think that he was there for a long time. He was in the spooky, crazy house and hanging out with those weird motherfuckers for a long time. And so it's very possible. I just think that even though kind of going back on our original conversation, we didn't need to rehash it again, but it was just sort of like, I just think that we needed like one moment to kind of like, or a little bit, because I think that there also was a moment where you overheard, I believe it might have been one of the Braithwaites saying something, like you heard like his voice talking about something when he was in that fever dream. That could have been, that could be something to that point. I just felt like the show, by and large, when it needs to put forth a piece of information that will eventually track, it will do it. This one, I think the fact that he was just getting so shit-faced and just all the things that we've kind of been informed kind of seems like it was a little light, but I think that we're definitely going to go see some reverse engineering with this thing, and also
I think it's Sean's like, what, you guys have never gotten shit faced and lit a book on fire for no reason at all.
I mean, we're making a big deal about it, but I just call that Tuesday. That's just my Tuesday routine. You wake up, you fucking brush your teeth, you get fucking shit faced on whiskey, and you light a book on fire. a potential invaluable family heirloom. I think that those are all really good.
I feel like after you two had your magic possession,
come on, put your dukes up there
versus filmmaking epic fight on our podcast. I went through and I watched it, and I'm kind of. I wanted to be on Team Morgan at first, just because, for the sake of our household. But I think going back through it, there was no like Christina and Montrose have never even so much as really looked at each other.
How did you know that?
Well,
we just haven't been given that.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm like, from there, there's
film
no
standpoint. We haven't seen it on screen. We didn't get any of what Montrose was going through in his captivity. We didn't get any of that, and they would have maybe hinted at that a little bit.
If they were going to really draw it home, that visually, just from a visual filmmaking standpoint, you know what I mean? If they were going to do that while he was having that kind of freak out in his apartment, that's when you can flash a couple of mini flashbacks showing
unless they want to bury it to be a shock when they reveal it.
Well, you're absolutely that might be Morgan, but it's the same thing when they didn't sit there and explain what was happening with Tick's ring, but we did see Christina put the ring on his finger.
Yeah.
There was something, and I guess to the point to that point, I just think that there wasn't enough to convince me. Believe me, I would rather have Montrose being bewitched other than him just kind of very cavalierly ending a life.
He better be bewitched.
That's what I'm saying.
I can't.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, either that or we got to throw the whole ass Montrose out because that's fucking fucked up, man.
He was already in the trash bag. Listen, I got to take him out to the door and dump him in the can.
Seriously, because somebody were saying, because everybody's just well, he has PTSD, and that's true, but at a certain point that can't. That's not going to hold up in the court of law. That's not going to be that doesn't excuse. A lot of people have trauma and they're not cutting two spirits' throats, shit like that.
I have a lot of empathy for Montrose, but my empathy only goes so far. So
right?
It's just, slit their throat because
he's afraid. That's that's a bit of a bridge too far. So again, we got to wait and see. Yeah. That's the thing. We just need more information. You know what I mean? So anyway, that's what that brings us to is we're going to go on to one of my favorites to talk about to get everybody's stuff on is the episode MVP. Who was the MVP of this episode? I think I know what the Dracis was, and I tend to agree with this one. Dracis, what were you thinking as far as the MVP of episode 4?
My favorite this episode was Ruby for her style, but also, Tamika, I don't know if we've actually, we haven't told you this unless you watched our live stream, but the bar where they film all the bar scenes is in Chicago. It's a place called the L&L, and we've all been there. And Ruby getting drunk at the L&L and making a mistake of taking a creepy guy home who might be a vampire is very relatable.
See, I think
a lot of women in Chicago.
Yeah, I just think that's Christina, and they were. It's a thing.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
sure.
think it's Christina too.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
And if that's true, I remember William in the second episode. The scenes when he would look at Letty, he looked at her like he wanted to eat her in those scenes. He was looking her up and down. I'm like, what's that dude's deal?
Right.
So I think Christina just likes the ladies.
That's well. That'd be interesting. That'd be interesting. Like where she was like, I mean, like obviously, I mean that'd be a just a holistically. There is like I don't want any part of any man whatsoever. I don't want nothing from my dad's. I don't want nothing from anything. In fact, I'm going to become a man just so I don't have to fucking do it. You know what I mean? Like that would be interesting. I loved the kind of melancholy kind of flourishes that we had to kind of watch Ruby sort of experience. Like they were, this was kind of the slow, subtle stuff within the episode. Which I like I like the slow, subtle stuff. I mean, like just kind of, I love her kind of brashness and how defiantly she just is, you know what I mean? Like at the end of it, she's playing that fucking amazing blues riff.
Oh my God.
You know what? Fuck all y'all.
Seriously,
go to the bar.
I've been to some open mics. I've been to some fucking places where they got some like live music, acoustic, like, you know, type of shit going. 95% of the time, I want to basically pull like an Animal House and grab the guitar and smash it against the fucking wall. You know what I mean? But
I saw Ruby at the LNL just pouring her heart out on, like, it was those people. There was one guy, I saw one guy in the crowd who was like clapping and he like raised his glass at her, and I was like, that guy gets it.
That guy gets it. That's like the
one. Like one guy.
Yeah. And I just felt bad for her because like so far in this series, she's been lied to by her sister. She's been put in a house where a bunch of white folks is outside bothering her continuously because they don't want her there in the first place. Right. And then she moved out, so we don't know exactly. I thought she moved out. I don't know where she went if she's not in the house.
That's true. I remember I wasn't exactly clear on like where they were at. I feel like they were in.
Was that his creepy mansion?
I think
like the one that he.
Was that
might have been?
Maybe it was the one that that Christina Bill possibly went to in that scene where
they walked up there and then he came out and did it.
It's got that nice scar. It had that nice scar that dusted.
Yeah, that weird ass punch he did where he was like.
Oh, yeah.
Are you saying he punches like a girl?
Yes.
Oh my God.
Like, who does that? Like I'm trying not to break a nail. Like I'm trying not to break a nail and ruin my suit.
A little bit of violence.
Like, come here. I'm gonna get you. Come here.
Like it was just weird. So I'm like her having that whole bad day. And then going to this, like I'm gonna got my gumption up and I'm just gonna go.
I'm loving this. Okay, everybody's rolling in with some really great things. I just want to pop this one. I think it's Will Steena's place.
Yes,
or Christillium's. I kind of like Christillium the best.
Christillium's.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. Christillium of House.
Absolutely. And I'm like, she had a bad, like she got up the nerve, the guts to do what she wanted to do, which is walk her ass into that department store looking fly as fuck with her hat on, cocked inside,
that outfit.
With that song playing. And I'm like, girl, you gonna get this job. Wait, just because somebody else applied don't mean you can't apply. But I understood why she just felt like, damn, they're only gonna hire one black person. What? And if I'd have just did what I wanted to do yesterday instead of fucking around with my little sister, then I could have had this job. I could have got what I wanted and proved that I could do.
I think that's very well said to me. I also, because like the thing is, I think they're kind of. Did you watch the previous or on next week? Did you watch?
I did.
Okay,
I watched it specifically for y'all.
So just so in case everybody, I know there are some people that don't fuck with that stuff, so just earmuffs or whatever. But there was that scene where it's essentially, it looks like Christillium is basically, because the thing is, like, we've kind of just been putting up stop signs in front of every road that Ruby has tried to go down in this show. She's like, well, I want to get a job at Marshall's. Fucking too bad. Go screw. Well, you know, like I want to play some music. You know, nobody really appreciates it, even though you have an amazing voice. You know what I mean? Like, it's like fucking Cynthia Ervio. It's just like, it's this incredible voice and a great actress. And then like also, it just and just like, and then like
your sister's
and your sister puts her in lies to your face. It just seems like every kind of every avenue that would be a little bit of a a place of solace for her has
It's
kind of
taken.
been taken away, and that's where Crystallium kind of like rolls in. It's like, all right, I'm gonna fuck you. I'm gonna fuck you on the stairs.
Exactly. I'm gonna roll out the dick.
And then
Red carpet dick.
you know. I remember we kind of were talking about that. We're just like, how uncomfortable did that stair fuck look on your back?
Well, here's the thing. Us meaty women, there's some little cushion back there, so it's not as bad as it looks.
Sure.
Okay.
Right.
But you got like 10, 15 minutes.
Right. But like,
we got to get off this couch.
I guess, and it also kind of depends on like how like what the guy's working with and like his stroke and everything, because like that kind of pressure that could do something.
I wish I could have seen more.
I
wish I could have seen more, because I need to know, because my theory with Crystallium being one person, I'm like, I need to see, like, do you have a stroke game, ma'am?
Okay, yeah. Oh,
do you have
know
one?
where the clit is?
I'm like, I need to see this, because that's how I would figure this out and be solidified in my answer.
How we would have absolutely 100% confirmed that it was definitely Christina would be if she just fucking dove straight down and pulled a brain worm and went down.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That would be like, you're definitely a gal. You're definitely a lady.
Exactly.
I mean, I thought that was one thing, because also we know the movies on the stairs, you turn them around, you put the leg up, and that's how I mean, like, that would be the better way to do it. You don't fuck somebody's back like that.
Yeah.
But, all right, so I like that.
The big thing about the stair scene is it's a direct correlation to the movie of the same name as the episode. It's basically
we were listening to the podcast
they
this
fuck
week,
on the stairs in a
they
history
said
of
it was and the writer on the Lovecraft Country podcast, she confirmed it. She's like, oh no, that was a direct shout out to that movie.
So
interesting.
That's why.
Did you ever? I haven't seen that movie since it came out.
Me neither.
Yeah.
It's been a minute.
It's been a hybrid, but I do remember that. Yeah, that was that sex scene with Vigo, with Aragorn and Maria Bello or whatever, stuff like that. Yeah, I think I've seen Viggo Mortensen's penis because of David Cronenberg more than like most actors. You know what I mean?
Bless that man.
He's just always willing to fucking just whip the hot hog out and just like and show everybody. You know, like if they want to see it. That's a great. Okay, so I like that. That's a good poll. I really like that one. Tamika, do you have an MVP for this episode?
I was trying to think. The only thing I've got is the water, because the water provided the most. Like it just helped out with them figuring out their shit. Sure. They were in this water, like, so what are you talking about? Nothing. Let's just get on down here. And then, of course, Letty was pissed as hell, and she's like, "You're not about to tell me." And every time she yelled, she's like, "Splash, splash, 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 splash." I'm like, look at her water bending and shit, looking like Beyonce in that video. Look at that girl, get it? You splash. You tell him you're not the only one going through this shit alone. All right, it's all of us. And get the fuck out of my way so I can go down here and get this shit.
Plus, I'm also like 70% of y'all anyway. We're basically related.
Like, move, bitch.
Right.
Move. And then how the water, like when they got two spirits out, how the water pretty much just like cleansed everything. It's all gone. Everything she's ever known, everything she's ever been with in that room is gone. So now she's literally coming out that water fresh, even though they had to pop her one because she was into the world. We don't have time for that.
That was rough too. That was like, oh damn! It was just like it just.
Like we just had to hit her.
I know that there was kind of no way. This is like fucking like Tick, has punched like two women.
Sometimes like listen, especially in this one.
No,
their ears were bleeding.
The first one, equal rights, equal fights. I mean, like if you have a gun and you're trying to shoot me, you're getting a knuckle sandwich. Like it doesn't like I'm going to stop that from happening. That one again, that was a very survivalist kind of scenario and shit. But I remember somebody just pointed that out on the comments on one of her videos. It's like, oh yeah, I never really noticed that, but the. So I love that. The water as an MVP.
Water. Clearing the house. Also making people come out of their spirits.
Also like water MVP just in forever, all time, everything. Like water's a pretty fucking big MVP. You know what I mean? Like you can't make White Claw without water. I know that. So I mean
that's true. It's true.
It's true, you know what I mean? All right. Now we're gonna go on to I love this episode because you can get some dark horses in this, like low key MVP of this episode. I know that we had a great time with this very small bit part, Drace's, and I know that I agree 100% with your guys' pick on this. Who was the low key MVP of this episode?
The little boy in the library.
Yes. I said it too. Like, he just
so
looks like,
good.
shut the hell up. I'm trying to read this. Can I read my book, please?
Yeah.
It's a library. Like, if they want to go have a fight, go take it outside.
They just needed to go have sexual relations, and even the kid knew that. Like, ma'am, can you just go? Can you go somewhere? Can you sit on it and rotate and make me feel better so I can read my damn book?
So good. That kid rules.
No, I loved him. He was just like, it was again, and that was like, whoever that kid was, he just absolutely nailed that part of just boom, like, oh god. I mean, like, because we've all been there.
I've worked at a library for 10 years.
No
like
shit.
10, 12 years. 10 years in one location and then 2 years at a different one.
Oh my god. Did you ever have to? Did you like? How many times did you have to tell people to actually be quiet? Probably not.
No.
Not that
We
many.
didn't have to do that because we allow people to talk and make noise. The only thing we told people to do a lot, which is about to sound real horrible, that if you're going to watch porn, please ask for a privacy screen. Like, that's it. Like, please, you can't
Clean
just
up
be
after
sitting
yourself.
in a computer facing the aisle watching cheeks clap. Like, we
Right.
can't.
We can't.
You
do
got to
that.
be against the wall and you need
Oh,
a
man.
privacy screen.
So okay, so yo, if that was
Nice.
even on the menu, did you catch anybody fucking feeding the geese?
Oh, all the time. go to the bathroom, and we were just like, and they would come back and be like, play. Like, you gonna play again? Aren't you done?
It smells like skis
Round
in this
two.
library.
Yeah, and so after anybody who requested a privacy screen, we would just like Lysol it down.
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh, that was like that got you ready for the world of COVID though. Where you're just
Oh
like,
my
I
God.
am not missing a spot of this fucking thing.
Nope. And sometimes we had to just take the keyboard and be like, trash.
Yeah. Woo.
No.
Woo.
Oh my god,
Yeah, I worked at a thrift store and like that was I caught a couple people. I don't know why people think gold clothes gets them horny or something.
Right.
know.
Shit. I mean, like,
People just don't have anywhere to go to masturbate.
which I mean,
So I kind of feel bad. I'm like, I know, like y'all, but yeah,
yeah. I
I
mean,
don't
like,
want to deal with it.
right. I mean, like, I don't know. I've definitely done. Oh fuck. I mean,
Oh,
like,
geez.
I don't want to know.
no,
What
not
this
that
is.
I've done. I remember when I was working at a movie theater, and like if we had like a sexy movie, if it was like known for, like,
Yeah.
I remember like the big one that was just like that was a long ass walk down those aisles because I was just afraid because it was for Y Tu Mama Tambien, that movie where there's just like there's a lot of fucking it's and stuff, and I mean I was like 16 at the time, so I just stay there and watch the whole thing anyway. I've probably seen the sex scenes in that movie like more than I've seen like like more than I've watched actual porn, but like. I remember just having to like walk in, just like, yeah, you got to check just to see if anybody's just, cranking it in one of the seats or whatever. Luckily, I never actually had to find someone where that happened to, even though I think we did find somebody after, dude, that was great. After we had closed up, we had forgot to check the back, like,
Oh God.
handicap accessible, like one.
Yeah.
And I remember, and we just have a key just to open it. It wasn't opening. We opened this up. This dude, the pants are at the ankles, and he's just been using the push soap thing a lot. It looked like he was taking a bubble bath. Like there was just so much shit all over That was like one of the hardest days. One of the worst.
This is not where I thought Lovecraft Country
Would take us.
Well,
would take us.
We're
I know
wait-
we'd see some horrible things.
We've seen some horrible things. We finally, we're
Did it drive you insane, like looking into the eyes of Cthulhu?
exactly very Lovecraftian. I was just like, oh my god, yeah, exactly. I started speaking in tongues and everything like that. It was so rough. Oh my god. Oh well. So anyway, I think so. Back to the bookworm in the library.
Yes.
He was.
Low-key MVP. I want to know what Tamika's low-key
he was-
MVP.
the same, actually,
Same.
honestly, the same, because I understand how much you just want to be like in your own little world in the library. You want to read your book. You got motherfuckers just loud and shit talking. Like, can you shut the fuck up?
Yeah.
Can you have your marital problems outside?
Right.
There's a whole world outside this library.
You guys clearly need to go have more, because we don't know if they're still. We know they've had sex once. We don't know if they're. Are they continuing?
They need to. Okay,
Yeah,
you can't just open the dam. Like, it's a lot of things. There's a lot of tense things happening. You guys care for each other. Shit's going down. There's trouble brewing. Somebody needs to be screwing, and I didn't mean to make that rhyme.
You got bars. You got bars, and you don't even know it. You know what I mean? Like,
when they were packing that for the road trip, I'm like, you're not gonna make it 15 hours to Boston. You better go take care of this and then come back.
Even Hippolyta was like, "Y'all okay?"
Yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely.
Are you good?
She knows all about it.
Hippolyta knows more than one thing is going on or should be going on. That's for damn sure. I didn't write this down in our things, and I didn't tell anybody that I was going to say this, but I think I gotta say, and this is controversial given my stance on this character. Low-key MVP was Montrose, and what I mean by that is, insofar as this entire, he sets the tenor and leads the entire episode, very similar to Letty set the tenor and led everything that was just like interesting, not everything that was interesting, but a lot of the interesting things that happened, a lot of the things that have caused us to have such a great, robust conversation have come from that character. And so I don't mean MVP in the way that I think that he did good.
Yeah,
like, I just think, but I mean, like,
did the most.
That's not an abdication for his actions. But I do think that, like, it would be like if Cersei was the MVP of an episode. I don't like what she's doing,
but she is driving that shit home.
But but the things that are going on, I'm like, oh, I love MCJ sticking to her gun. She's like, I'm not giving Montrose anything.
He doesn't get a Christmas present this year. He doesn't get cards.
He's off the list. But that was just like a mini bar for that, where it's just like, I mean, even like it or not, he completely dominated a lot of the things about this episode that were really, not all of them, obviously. Ruby was cool. Yeah, it was cool, but it was just.
I did like Wordy Wolf actually pulled up the quote where he crosses over the bridge and he's like, Jesse Owens ain't got shit on me. You see that jump, boy? Yeah. He's just so excited.
He was so excited. Yeah. Like, sir. But what was in that bag you brought? You dropped that bag. I really want to know what's in that bag.
I feel like what was in there.
I do gotta say though, I mean, I know that, I guess this would speak to Tick's, because he's like Black Captain America. Like, he was a fucking scrawny nerd, and now he's just like,
he's thick. He's muscular.
Not from the war.
Sensual.
Not a dry seat in the house when that fucking guy shows up. And so like when he and so like his whole thing is like, where it kind of makes sense that he's like, but then the army thing, like, that'd be a cute moment if he was like a little uncoordinated. You know what I mean? Like, because it turns out that was one of the worst fucking catch attempts in the history of.
He didn't even attempt to catch it, in my opinion.
In the history of throwing that. No, he looked like he was playing volleyball and he's trying to hit it back to him.
It was like, bam.
Yeah.
Not in my house.
Get out of here, dude.
Get out of here.
Right. He's like, what do you got? Like, what are you storing in there, Dad? Bad memories? Get the fuck out of here.
No. Generational trauma? Get out of here.
Get out of here.
But Laundry Day did say that the library books were in the bag.
No, they're going to have a hell of a whatchamacallit, late fee.
Oh, Jesus, that's right.
Tamika, somebody went to your library and was like, I lost it in a magical cave.
Be like, listen, so did you want to read off the fines, or did you want to like, what did you want? Did you want to pay them, or did you want to read off the fine? Like, what did you want?
Like, no. He shot it to CJ. It's like he looked like he literally slapped it away.
He did. He
told him it was full of cooties. You know, that's what he was acting like. All right, so that was a good one. Another one that we like to do. Moving on, another one of our categories that we like to get into each and every week. Also, shout out to everybody in the comments. Shout out to everybody who's super chatted so far. I think we're doing really good. We're on our way to being able to hopefully matching it. I think we got about man, if we could get like another like 30, 40 bucks or something like that, I think we can make it happen. So if you're able to super chat, it's going to be going to a really great cause, and we'll get into any of the numerous amounts of subjects, theories that you want us to talk about at the end of this episode. But that brings us to, before we get into that brings us to That's So 2020. The That's So 2020 moment of this episode 4. What are y'all thinking, Draces? I know that you guys had a notion about a couple of things.
Well, somehow this is the most problematic and the least racist episode we've had so far, which is, I mean, there's some things. One of the things I was kind of looking into was being from Chicago and Marshall Fields being an iconic Chicago institution.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, what were their hiring practices? And so it turns out in 1952, so this is set in 55. In 52, somebody did bring a lawsuit against, or a complaint against Marshall Fields for discriminatory hiring practices. And so like Marshall Field himself was even like always had said, he's like, we don't want to have black people out in like key places. Like they don't want them at the counter. They don't want them to be greeting people. So
you don't want to have them in the perfume room or something like that. Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So even up through the 60s, there was only like 9% of the employees at Marshall Fields were black.
Yeah. And I think that when we're thinking about that, so 2020, like we are all in service industry, there is front of house, back of house segregation thing.
Absolutely.
It's like improving, but like it's a thing.
Yeah.
For real.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it hasn't gone away.
I mean, I worked at I'm going to bust them out. I worked at a Romano's Macaroni Grill in the suburbs. And
nothing good ever goes down there.
So I worked there for 5 years in high school, and I was a busboy. And when I moved to Chicago, I tried to apply at Maggiano's Little Italy, because it was a parent company. And because I was 20 years old, I couldn't serve tables, so I applied as a busboy. And the general manager, I kid you not, said, I can't hire you as a busboy because you're white. And I was like, what? He's like, because all of the busboys, the entire bus staff was Hispanic. And so they put me in carryout instead. So like,
that was
in 2000.
Yeah.
So
shit is real.
Yeah.
No. This is like, again, this show takes place in the 50s, but this is living and current history. This is past and present. Like this is all.
And just in general, like imagined scarcity or like manufactured scarcity, where it's like, they can only have one. It's like, no, they make it so that there's only one person, and it's makes like. Anybody in any group where it's like, now we have to compete against each other instead of solidarity, because that's how they get you. Like they don't want solidarity among workers.
No, they don't.
Yeah.
No.
So that's so 2020 with that one.
Yeah. The other thing I did kind of notice is that there was a part when Christina walks up to the house and there's some chalk on the sidewalk, and there's been a bunch of stuff in the news lately of like little kids, black children playing with chalk in like neighborhoods, and like, white women or like white couples losing their minds about it, or like calling the property association and being like, they don't live here, they don't belong in this neighborhood, and like they're having chalk on their own house. And that's happened
or like in the street.
Yeah,
like,
multiple times this year.
Yeah, so that's another thing where it's just like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Makes it. This show always is like bringing stuff like that's been in the news.
Oh my God, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, like, and I remember even somebody said, I'm sorry, I went out for a little bit I'm plugged into the Ethernet cable, but I still have my shit go out. I mean, like, and that's like, I mean, that's a so 2020. Like, why the fuck? Why would actually? And shut up. I was gonna highlight a comment, but somebody did say like, so you're walking across like an incredibly like narrow plank with a pendulum that'll cut you in half, swinging in front, and the shit is dissolving in the back. That's what 2020 feels like.
Yeah.
Sometimes, do you know what I mean? Which I thought was like, that's not, like, Yeah, that's not for nothing. I don't know. Did we get into any? I'm sorry. Did we get into anything else while I was away? I know I went out for a little bit.
No.
Okay.
I haven't even thought about what I mean. Like I don't have a what's so 2020 moment because I'm sitting here like because I work in patrol, so I'm seeing all of this, like all this police stuff, and I'm just like,
Mm-hmm.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's just one of those ones where it's too. I think that's kind of another thing that speaks to the power of the show is the fact that it does. This is 70 years removed, just or more, maybe 65, 70 years removed, and it is like so incredibly current because, like, again, like
it's the same shit.
It's the same shit, and like and the fact, yeah, and like and because, but the only thing is, but the one nice thing, at least insofar as the House Burlington Lovecraft Country live stream is that when that stuff does start to come up, we can do some shit like this. Oh my God! Drink it in. Get that lava brownie cake. I was thinking about Blinky, but I figured Ellie needed to get some.
Oh my gosh, Ellie or Blinky, they're both the best.
They're both the greatest.
They are.
Best.
I'm wondering. I think eventually we're gonna have like an Avengers level crew of like anti-racist dickhead, like either characters, creatures, or objects. You know what I mean? I feel like we're gonna get up to like 3 or 4, maybe like 3 more.
Hopefully.
I'd say we got Blinky and Ellie, but we also had Letty had a shovel.
The shovel was good, but that was
Shovel
Letitia fucking Lewis. I mean that's who that was. Well, maybe maybe like Letty should be like the leader. You know what I mean? Okay. Like she should be the leader of the group or whatever, and then she's got
riding atop Blinky,
and then and Ellie's taking them wherever the fuck they need to go. Oh my God, I love it. Do we want to?
It's got a good one. It says Montrose knowing everything and not telling anybody, keeping all the dangerous secrets to himself sounds familiar. That's so 2020.
Oh
my God! Listen, that was again. Wow. That was like that's
Montrose
another
is the Bob Woodward of Lovecraft Country.
Well, Montrose, in his defense, he had a book coming out. Okay, right. Montrose needs to sell his book.
He had a book coming out, but then he burned it.
He did.
Montrose was writing his own book. You know what I mean? Oh God! Then like you'd read, like if you read like the Sons of Adam, like the text in the beginning, but you read it like Trump. Or whatever it was, it was like then Adam was born, and then and then Eve fucked, and then they inherited the earth. Like, oh Jesus, no!
I hate that. I hate it.
Yeah, thanks. I hate it. Yeah, thanks. I hate it. Fucking send Ellie and Blinky.
I know. I'm voting for Montrose.
Is there? Wouldn't it be? Right. Wouldn't it be awesome if there was an Ellie in the White House? That would be pretty cool. Anyway, I'm going to move on from that statement. But not that I don't stand by it. Fuck that motherfucker. But okay. So here's the tough one this week. We kind of didn't. We usually do the Lovecraft connection. That one, I'm with you, Draces, insofar as like there wasn't like a lot for me to glob on with that, so I think that we can kind of like move forward on some of that because I didn't really have anything going with that. So now we're sort of at like kind of the tail end of it. Was there anything else? I mean, I think we haven't really
addressed the big issue.
I figure I'd save that for. I figure we'd save that for this one. I think which is the thing that kind of caps the episode, that kind of keeps it from being, for me, like a complete W. You know what I mean? It's when we basically.
I'm just like, but why?
See, that's the thing. I mean, like, I really think that and I understand that, like, because Tracy, you guys listen to the podcast,
right?
And so what they addressed it a little. I try to stay away from the podcast just because I want to try to kind of like listen to it until after we've said some shit. But like, what did they? How did they address this at all? Like, what was their? What were their thoughts on this whole thing?
My main takeaway from the podcast is they had a lot of interesting, like they lovingly researched to make this character like authentic, and then also they had it in their heads. The one writer was like, oh, the writer's room was thinking about this and voices and what it meant for Yahima to be turned into a siren, therefore taking her voice, and how her voice is considered dangerous. And I'm like, yeah, all of this is fascinating and interesting. If you had
That's great.
Live for more than one episode, I'm like,
not even an episode, like 5 minutes.
Yeah,
5 whole
so
ass
excited
minutes.
to have her as like the languages expert.
Mm-hmm.
And then also, how does she fit into like 1950s America? Which would
there's all this like fish out of water stuff that they kind of some really like
literally because she's a siren now.
Oh,
they pulled her out of the water.
Right, totally. I mean, like, well, and also like, and I don't think that they necessarily she would be all comic relief in the same way.
Well, I think it'd be they.
Yes, I'm sorry. Yeah, forgive me.
Pronouns.
Yeah. Like shout out they them pronouns we'll be using for the Two Spirit. But insofar as, I mean, they could have been not in the same way, not all purely 100% comic relief. But I was thinking like they could have been like a bit of like the C-3PO of the group, like. They have like all of this knowledge. They have all of this kind of backstory. Like they'd be like, all right, well, Montrose won't talk to us. Fuck him. Let's take Two Spirit.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Like let's bring them along, for this. Is it Yahima? Is that the name of?
I thought it was like Yahima.
Yahima. Yeah.
Yahima,
So like let's bring them along, and have them kind of be a part of this story. It just feels like such a gigantic, again, because it's not like the construction or what they represent. I think it was how they handled it. It literally felt like something that some dipshit horror, like horror director, like Eli Roth. It felt like a move that he would do.
Like it could have been so much like better executed. Not even killing. Is it Z or is it them? So I've seen people say Z.
Yeah, I saw like pronouns Z, them.
Okay.
Z.
Okay.
And killing Z, like they could have had Montrose get right behind him and was like, you can't stay here for long, right? And they just look at her because he might not have understood. Like like Z might not have understood what was going on, what was being said, because they can't communicate. So Z could have just looked at him like,
yeah.
And they could just left it at that, like knowing that eventually his plan is to kill you. I just wish that we could have got more out of Zer. Like we could have got more.
Yeah.
The fountain of information.
It was definitely there's just so much, I feel like, kind of dramatically, like plot wise. I mean, even a little bit of comedy, like a little, like we're saying, fish out of water comedy that they could have gotten into. Or whatever. They could have been like they could have been like the Thor of the show, like this kind of like powered. I'm ancient. I know all of this stuff. You know what I mean? It was very. It just seemed like kind of just a supreme waste to and kind of also just kind of. It was like, wait a minute, did fucking like Stephen King write this? Like we have like this kind of magical Native American Two-Spirit character that gives us a little bit of information and then dies. Like they didn't do the whole stupid thing like that they do in movies where, like where they're essentially going to.
You're yellow.
Oh, I was
Pokemon.
Oh, yeah.
Like opening credits of Watchmen for a second.
Right. Totally. No, but it just kind of seemed like it was. I don't know. They could have done so much more with them. It just felt. I think that's more the thing than anything else. It's not how they built it. It was what they did with them.
Yeah, the writers talk a lot about the white gaze, and in that scene, I looked pretty closely at it because everyone was talking about Montrose's reaction being reactionary because of his implied homosexuality, but the person that actually gave the longest stare was Letty. Letty did the up down, had like a look of horror. Tick was pretty stoic and was like
And Tick was respectful because when they were like, "What?" When Montrose was like, "What are you?" He's like, "Who are you?"
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I was
And
like, "There you go, Tick."
I would have liked to have seen subtitles. I think having it all translated through Tick was a little disrespectful as well. And I know that they were trying to convey that Tick was the one that
They had,
we
like, a
could have gotten
connection.
that and gotten whatever was being said if we had had subtitles would have, I think, made the character a little more important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just kind of seemed like they spent so much time building like such a rich kind of, I guess, kind of like basis for a character, and then just kind of whisking away. Now, also, a bunch of people have been saying in the comments, Zay might not be dead.
That's what I'm thinking too. Reading their
They
comments,
might
I'm
not
like,
be-
more and
they might-
more.
Yeah.
I was sick because how killer would it be? It's just like a fucking cold open where all of a sudden we're back in that room. You know, they're in that moment, and
then he comes back
and
like,
then like the blood starts to come back up, goes back into their throat, and then they turn around, and it's like,
and then it becomes a bone of contention between Montrose and
motherfucker. It's like, motherfucker, what? Even though I will say, sometimes
I would love that.
I would love it too. I mean, like, because that way you still get to, they could kind of have both things. Like, they could kind of, we get to keep the character.
Yeah.
And we get to demonstrate what they're capable of, but then also we get to have the kind of crazy breakneck flourish that Montrose had. Like, they still get that they get to do both things. I would love that if we were able to keep them. But the way that this show kind of moves pretty quick, I don't know. There's a bunch of,
they could utilize Letty. They could utilize Letty because Letty is technically seeing like ghosts and stuff like
that. As literally a spirit.
Yes, like she could actually be the person to see Z and be like, so what happened? What?
Honestly, this house has a history of like people being murdered and abused and their spirits becoming trapped. So that would totally make sense.
That'd be maybe we could maybe that's one way that we'd be able to keep them around. I mean it's
I don't want them trapped.
We're trying so hard to bring this back. Like, Z, come back.
We need you. Well,
seriously,
I don't want them trapped again under the control of people that aren't her family. I'm sorry, their family, and it's
right.
I actually would hate.
We took their agency. It's like as soon as like now they can have like start anew in some way, like, you know, because they were just like walking around. Like I was like, what shit? They got to get the cot out and stuff like that. Like Yahima's gonna just be set up
like curled up on a desk. We're giving her the master bed. I'm sorry, we're giving them the master bedroom.
100%.
Apologize for messing up her. They've been through so much, and I'm messing up pronouns. So.
Right. I mean, one thing. It is one thing that it's something that I kind of try to, you know, remember is even though sometimes you can kind of get to, you know, kind of patting yourself on the back as far as your allyship and shit like that.
Yeah.
The one big thing that this year has especially taught me more than anything is that no matter how like hard you're trying, there's always more to learn, and class is always in session. And so we just say, like, if we have misgendered any like if we have misgendered them tonight, we do apologize, but we are trying, and we are going to get there eventually.
Yeah, so. I spent some time kind of looking up, you know, the history of Two-Spirit, and, you know, I know that, like, there's, you know, a bunch of different terms kind of being thrown around. Some people were throwing out hermaphrodite. Some people were throwing out intersex, and
third gender.
Yeah, and there's a lot of different terms that were kind of being thrown around. So, you know, I'm not quite sure where the correct angle is without being able to ask, you know, the character or the writers. You know?
Yeah, 100%. That's kind of who you can sort of have to defer to. It's gonna, you know, the way to progress and mutual respect is occasionally messy. So yeah, but it is something that we are going to continually strive to try to do.
Yeah.
So
And
we appreciate it.
they did an interview with the I believe she is a cis woman, the actress.
Yes.
She's been on she said Zay she had referred to her character's pronouns as they.
Yes.
So I was trying to use
that. Exactly. Right. I mean, like, and again, like, it's an ongoing conversation, and it's one thing that I will say. I mean, maybe they are the MVP in a weird way because it's caused us to examine this type of a trope that this show possibly has maybe dipped its toe in and didn't.
That's what they say in the podcast is that they understand that it was messy and they can totally see why it could be considered problematic, how the character was handled. And they're like, good, like, yes, call us on that. We want to have that conversation. We want that. Yeah. So I think that we're going to see something a little more meaty put into that. They're aware of it and they're not dumb. Like, they put stuff in for a reason, and I have some faith, but it's a little jarring without the full show ahead of us.
Right. I mean, and again, this is something that they can kind of fill back in like a little bit more. And then again, it's sometimes you can't know exactly the full breadth of what something means until you've seen the piece as a whole, or more is actually revealed. I mean, like, the one thing that I'll say this. The one thing that is weird that I thought about today when I was rewatching the episode. So, like, it's a big family trip, right? And maybe it just wasn't addressed. Maybe it was addressed off screen. But so the heroes, Letty, Tick, Montrose, like, they go to the after hours, break into the what do you call it, the museum and stuff.
Night at the museum.
They're having a night at the museum.
They have their night at the museum. But then Hippolyta is driving overnight on the road to where? I thought that Hippolyta,
I think she was going home.
She was going home.
So she was just leaving them in Boston.
No, they had called or got a word to her because she said that they said that they were home in Chicago, and she was like, I don't know how the hell they got there. She made some kind of mention to that like that.
Yeah, Dee says that. She's like, how did they get back to Chicago?
Oh God. Okay. All right. That's what. Because I literally thought that Hippolyta was just like, oh, I can't find him. Guess I'll leave the city.
No.
That's what I thought happened for a second there. I was a little confused.
Speaking of Hippolyta, I'm worried about her going to where the house is, because the house is done. However, the people who are on, like, the villagers, they're still there.
Those
creepy ass people are still there.
That whole fucking trash ass county that they got to fucking deal with and stuff like that. That it's surrounded by sundown counties.
I'm like, what happened to all the Blinkies? Did the Blinkies just run free in the wild? Is somebody still trying to control the Blinkies? Like, does Christina have the Blinkies? Like, what happened?
Christina's not there with her whistle.
Right.
Like that one lady, I'm hoping she died.
The shovel lady.
Yeah, I think hopefully she died.
Hope she swallowed half of that damn shovel.
I hope she bled to death, but if she's there, I do not want Hippolyta.
Right. Even though we have been seeing there, I mean, like, from the trailer, there have been these interesting, I don't know if they're dream sequences, I don't know if they're visions of Hippolyta in, like, full warrior.
I'm starting to think those are dream sequences based on the first one we had with Tick.
I wouldn't.
Oh yeah. I could see
that.
I
mean, like, it'll be interesting to kind of see what is there for them to discover, because they're just going to show up and there's just going to be a big fucking crater, or
a crater surrounded by Amish people scratching their heads.
we don't have.
And
we
then
don't have any
Blinkies roaming around.
Right? Oh my God! It's like. Yeah, so we have to get up and milk the Blinkies at 5:30 in the morning.
Yeah, I don't want that milk. And
no.
I wouldn't want to try that milk.
The consistency of that milk is not for me.
Tamika, you've been watching Boys, right?
Yes.
Do you think Homelander would drink that milk?
Yes. And he would swish it.
He would down for any milk, as long as he'd be like, he would ask Blake, he was like, so you like a mother or something? Okay, cool, awesome.
Swish it. Swish it and he'll drink it warm, cold, whatever. He'll drink it.
Oh God. Yeah. You have to warm it up and disinfect it. Oh my God. Right. Yeah. I mean, like, oh God. And also speaking of somebody who I would love to introduce Blinky to, get Stormfront in front of a Blinky or an Ellie.
All of
That'd be
it.
pretty good. Spoilers for the
Blinky
Blinky.
All of it.
The milk's gone. I love this. The milk's gone bad. Anyone who's thrown out a Chappelle's show reference is getting an immediate highlight for me. If I catch it, just if you want to know your ways to the cockles of my heart. All right. Well, I think that those, insofar as there's definitely some interesting things that are going on with Hippolyta and their story. I'm just wondering what, the whole, what is Montrose going to do with the body? What is he going to say to Tick? Like this whole, if there was ever, because it kind of seems like the episodes have always been, it seems like it just starts so fresh in the different tone.
Mm-hmm.
This is the first time where I really want this to just feel like an extension of to really move forward, just because there are so many kind of very kind of visceral things that I just feel like need to be addressed.
And that's why I think Z's not dead, because they just can't, there's how many people? 4 people, including Zer. If Z is dead, and it wasn't the other 2, because they probably having relations.
Yeah.
I hope they are. They
better
kiss.
be. They better have been after 100%. That kiss. But I'm just and then it just leads Montrose to having to explain something he probably didn't want to explain in the first place, if he is capable of explaining it, because they have to spell the hell out of people.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean,
actually, something I didn't catch in my multiple watchings was that the reason why the scroll was away from them was that Montrose had purposely tried to leave it behind.
Oh, that's why it was floating away.
I kind of missed that, and that makes a lot of sense. For he's like, oops, it's gone.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
There was I wonder, we didn't see the Aurum in the back of the car at all, did we?
No.
The gold thing?
The Ori, the Ori. Sorry,
I don't think
Ori.
she brought it with her.
No, it was left at her house, Or
unless she put it in the magic purse that she used to sneak it out of the house.
That she sneak it out. The Mary Poppins bag. Right. Or the movie bag.
There you go. I like that. I like the Mary Poppins bag. Anybody else? What else are we kind of looking forward to as far as? I mean, again, I'm also thinking about what's going to happen to Ruby now that she's got some hot Starkarian.
I think she is spelled all the way up and through. I don't think that
he
Christina.
Has her blood.
Yes. You tasted the blood. Christina did something with the magical peen vagine situation, and now she's just in there wrapped, and pretty much he's going to be guiding her to do whatever he wants or she wants, or was it Crystallium, whatever they want.
Crystallium.
Here's a fun question. So far we've seen ways in which they've done throwbacks to horror movies. They've obviously, we talked about earlier with the Indiana Jones and the Goonies and all these other adventure movies. What other things do you think they're going to maybe try and claim ownership and get our heroes into next? What would you like to see? What's a mini movie that you kind of want to see? Yeah, what's a trope that
I can think of one that I would love to see. But Meeks,
I was kind of joking around. If we're getting time travel, I think it'd be fun to see a black heroes in a quantum leap story.
Oh, I can't do that. I would fuck shit up on you're not about to just sit there. I'd fuck out of here. I'm just gonna quantum leap my ass out of jail.
They quantum leap to 2020 and they look around. They're still.
And
no, we're going back. You might as well go back.
Be a better style back there.
They literally Homer Simpson back into the time machine.
Yeah,
we could get a little Montrose McFly and a little Black to the Future.
Yep.
Yeah. That's
somebody
one thing
to fix this, man.
We're gonna Montrose have
let's get Montrose, kick him somewhere.
I'm actually wanting some boxing to happen. I need Tick to put those arms to use to beat somebody's ass. That's what I need.
I mean, that was one thing also where you were saying, Tamika, that we wanted to kind of kind of spread out a little bit more of the adventure, because that means that we would get more of Tick in that black tank top. I mean, as a guy, as a purveyor of tank tops, motherfucker is putting most of the tank top like community to shame.
Yes, like as a fan of chesticles and breasticles, I can endorse this completely.
100%. Yeah. So just to get like Tick a little bit more into those, I think would be cause enough for it. You know what I would love to see? I would love to, because again, like Tick was very Indiana Jones. It was very kind of National Treasure, very The Mummy. Like, he even had it like when he's studying, he's got the glasses on, just like Indiana Jones does when he's like, when he's teaching at his university and stuff. I would love to see like a little, this would probably be the most far out thing from like the horror genre. Because with Indiana Jones, you can still get into some spooky stuff. But I think the farthest they could stray away that I would love to see is like a spy type of a storyline. Couldn't you see like some incognito? You get like you get Letty as like a Bond girl. You get fucking Tick in like a nice like suit or whatever it was. That shit could be fucking correct. I would love to if they had to infiltrate something and they could kind of have like a little bit of a spy moment where they're trying to maybe like outflank Christina in some way. You know what I mean?
I saw when Christina went to that creepy lodge, there was a black woman working there. I'm like, get her on your team. She's your mom.
There you go.
Like, also, I'm worried for her. I'm like, run.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, right. Good God, girl, get out.
Well, that also makes me think about who in the hell was in the closet.
Yeah. Some people I saw had like a theory in our YouTube comments that they're like, yeah, that Montrose is in the closet. And that other Montrose.
That is so on the nose.
That is too hard.
Body snatchers, though.
Right, but it's like he's a supposedly homosexual in the closet. Like, come on.
I
didn't think of that either, but
that would be too much. Well, you know what? You want to know what I think it is? I think it's just kind of a fun gag. Like, it is illustrating. It's like when you're in the you're visiting like the mad doctor and he's got some test subject strapped to a chair, or he's got like, he's got a bunch of cages with animals in them and stuff and shit like that, or beakers everywhere. It was just kind of saying that like this guy is a part of this whole society. He's part of this Sons of Adam thing. He's got himself a lodge and he's up to some fucking weird wiggity fuck shit. And like, I think that was kind of, I don't think that it was like a direct line to anything. Again, we would need more information if it were. It'd be pretty out of nowhere if that's where I think it was just kind of like you were supposed to kind of like, Midwest stepdad just kind of go, huh. You know what I mean? Like it's like it's kind of he's twisted. I think so, but I might be wrong. Again, like that was just how it was such a throwaway moment. I think it was kind of like, oh, this guy's got guys in closets and shit.
Yeah, I'm just nosy. I'm like, listen. There's a handful of black people who are in the main cast, and one of them is supposedly dead, and I don't like that. So who is in the closet?
But then the other thing is like, if we are doing time travel, which we are, this is the first time they kind of said it out loud, like time machine, Uncle George. That's how we get Uncle George back.
I just want him alive. I don't want him in that closet, but I want him alive.
Yeah, that's
like I love the actor, but that character, I need Uncle George.
Yeah, like get Courtney B. Vanston. Like he walks through whatever, after they, do the whole thing with 31,000 gigawatts or whatever the fuck, and then he just backhands Montrose for being a fucking messy bitch.
Please. Backwards and forwards. You need to slap him twice.
He's like, I died in the very next week. You're murdering people. What's going on here?
Like, what did I tell you? What did I had just had said it is?
And you didn't give him the book. It's like, again, that's another.
My dying words were give him the book.
Give him the book.
And that's when you get another, and that's when you get like the Chappelle Show thing. It's like, what did the five fingers say to the face?
And then you also get give me some baby powder. Some baby powder. Put some baby powder here.
100%. Okay, well, we're gonna get into some of our super chats. Some of the people, I mean, most people have just been kind of like, they've been really sweet. They've just been donating, saying like, thanks for the content. We appreciate you. We're gonna go through everybody right now. Oh, the very first one. Came out with a bang. Was from Mrs. Pete. They didn't write anything. They just made a super chat for a very generous amount. Thank you so much for that, y'all. Luminara 843. Thank you for you guys to putting me onto Meeks. She is hilarious. Which genre? Oh, and we actually just talked about this.
We got into that, yeah.
We got into that. So, which genre should the show tackle next? So, you could do a time travel movie. You could do a spy movie. Was there any other ones?
I like their Black Witch Coven episode.
Ooh, somebody was
Letty
saying
needs to form
Oh
a coven.
my gosh! Please.
Give her a broom and a big pot and form a coven.
Get a coven going, or maybe
We're doing Hocus Pocus now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh my God! Oh, that would be.
We're okay with all of this.
That would be fucking amazing. Oh God. Oh, and even Ruby, she could do. I bet she could rip up an amazing version of "I Put a Spell on You."
Oh please.
Get her with that.
Absolutely.
She could belt that.
A lot better than the Marilyn Manson version that they played for.
I don't mind that.
They only use
like
Marilyn Manson when they're talking about Billy, and I'm just like,
Billy.
Yeah.
Oh
It's
no,
only,
no,
it's
that's
only
true.
when white people be doing bad shit that you get.
That's
Marilyn
true.
Manson.
That's true.
Mhm.
They're getting down to some weird body shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All right. So who else do we got? We got Katie Ann. Is the Adamite order of the Golden Dawn alluding to the the Hermetic order? Here, I'm actually gonna pop this up. This was from KDO, right here. I thought this was fun. This is a fun idea. The Adamite order of the Golden Dawn, alluding to the Hermetic order of the Ancient Dawn. Aleister Crowley practice. Is Montrose doing dark magic? Do we think that Montrose is doing dark magic?
He could be. That's the reason why I was a little confused in the beginning, because what he's doing, that's very spellish.
Yeah.
That is very spellish. Yeah. What they do, they get a pot, they put stuff in it, they burn it, and they say whatever incantation they're going to say, and it's either the curse or the spell.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, if it's him driving his own, if it's Montrose with his own agency, like, I learned how to do my own spells, that's cool until he murdered Yahima.
Yeah.
But I feel like something's going on with Montrose.
It holds up. Like, that act does hold a pall over any until it gets addressed.
Yeah.
In this next episode and in further episodes, like, it holds a pall over every single positive thing that I could think for him to go forward with in this story. You know what I mean? Again, shout out to the lovely MCJ. Thank you so much. Again, also to Lawrence Brown. Lawrence Brown chipped in and said, just for the cause and the good content. This one is from MCJ. Generational differences, which I thought which is like what a lot of this show is about. Day isn't satisfied with just them knowing. Everyone should know. Montrose says, what are you? Tick says, who? Okay. So
that was Hippolyta.
Hippolyta
was she's like, I know it's fine.
As long as we know it's good.
And Diana D, the little revolution, she's gonna fuck shit up when she's older.
Yeah.
She's like, no.
Yeah.
And then Tick being woke enough to say, no, hi human. Who are you?
Yeah, right.
Hi fellow human.
100%. We had another one from Tanny. Love you, Tanny, so much. Whimsy Riot threw down a little bit of money. Reading Coma. I'd like to. That's about the best kind of coma. That's a great username. Reading Coma. Throw in. Thank you again so much, y'all. Divinity Rocks was throwing in for that. So 2020. Which again is sadly, yes, it's like a lot of the things are very kind of prescient. That's so 2020. The violence visited upon non-binary, intersex, trans folks, trans and indigenous folks. Yeah, I mean, like, that's it. Definitely, I'll say this. This is another thing. I mean, like, to the Native Youth Sexual Health Network, which is the beneficiary of all of the super chats for tonight. It was really hard to find this nonprofit.
Yeah.
Like, it was just really, it was just because there's just kind of speaks to like the amount of resources that aren't afforded to like our own like native citizens, and the fact that like it really took some sussing out for me to find something, because that was kind of what I wanted this one to be, and I was glad that I found it, but it was just tough. So yeah, shout out to that. Here we go.
Anybody who's like kind of was like upset by the ending in this episode, I actually a really great documentary that I recently watched was it's called Disclosure, and it's just like trans actors and actresses and non-binary people just talking about how they're portrayed in the media, and like it's really, really good. It goes into this whole thing of like we're either like abused or we're murdered or we're a dead body or we're like a plot point. And yeah, so it just kind of, I think that's why a lot of people were like, it kind of felt not great, because everybody was like, aren't we over this whole like, oh, let's introduce a non-binary or trans character just to like murder them?
Yeah,
like,
and it was like, it definitely was it was one of those things where it was like if we watched a new Spider-Man movie and they killed Uncle Ben again. It was like I thought kind of agreed that we were over this a little bit, like or certainly within this world and with this crew. One of the last kind of big ones that we have is from Tamisha R. Threw down a little bit of cash for a good cause. Let's bring this up real quick. Podcast also mentioned that Montrose's actions, trash as it was, I like that they made sure that we all knew that, highlights how members of oppressed communities can also be oppressors themselves. He's still raggedy though.
He's still raggedy. His ass is raggedy. He's raggedy as hell. I'm just like, I can't.
I think it's an important thing. It's kind of like, you know, it's sort of what we were talking about before about kind of trying to be vigilant about your own allyship. I know that that's obviously something that, myself and the Draces like have to keep our eye on and stuff like that. But again, like class is always in session. We are always trying to learn. We are always trying to communicate with one another, because it's just our duty as somebody that wants to believe in a better future and stuff like that. So thank you so much to Tamisha R. We appreciate you for that. Also, we have we got ourselves we have one more from Antaeus G. threw down for $10. Thank you so much. And I think we're going to end on this one, which I think is a good one, from the Big Appa, one of our good friends who hangs out with us on our Saturday DJ sets. Threw down $20 for which is incredibly, very, very generous. Thank you so much. $20. Everyone go register and vote this year. I cannot. Yeah, I am 100% behind that whole thing. I think that it's even though it's not gonna fix everything right out the gate, but it's gonna be a start. We just need a little bit of maintenance happening, and I think that So if you have, right. I think that's something that I think it's if he can pony up $20, I think that any and all of us can take the time to go do something, especially when it's free and doesn't cost us anything. And it could potentially send like one of the biggest fucking fuck yous to one of the biggest pieces of shit that ever fucking set foot on like in the modern sense, like in America. So I mean, like that's why I look forward to it. But god damn it, everybody, this was a hell of a stream. I had such a good time, and that was due in no small part to Miss Tamika Harley, aka Manic Meeks. Everybody,
thanks for having me.
Show her some love in the comments.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
It really was. It was like, I mean, like, I don't know. Sound off in the comments if you think that we should have. Even though I've already decided we're gonna have you back at some point.
Please.
You just tell us when you want to come on, and we'll fucking make it happen.
Yeah.
But
and if you haven't already visited her channel, go visit her on YouTube.
Subscribe. It's funny as shit.
I have so much things on my channel. Most people like, oh, I didn't know you were watching this. Yeah, I've watched anything and everything. If people recommend it, I put it on a list and it goes up on a poll. So
I love it. Oh, here we go. Look, it was like, come back, have her on more, stay. Adore
They
you.
clearly hate.
Settle down.
They clearly hate you. So
Right. No. No, I think Katie was saying that about someone else. But no, I mean, it was an absolute pleasure to have you on, and definitely like as one of my good friends would do every time he would play like a show after he was done playing the show and be like, oh, that was great, and he would just come up to me and goes like, let's do it again. Which I think we should. All right.
Yes.
Yes.
Again, like, thank you to everybody who threw in for the super chat. Holy shit. I think we did better than last week. I think we raised more. I think we raised more than
amazing.
I think we raised more than $100 for the Native Youth Sexual Health Network.
That's fucking awesome.
I'm super fucking
really
stoked
great.
about that. Seriously, thanks all y'all. Man, I mean, like, I just really appreciate everybody, the conversation that we get to have with everybody via the comments and everything like that. You guys make this, like, I don't know. It's a real special thing. We're very lucky to have you on, Tamika, and does anybody have any parting words, any things that they want to get out, any other things other than just like, Montrose, get off your fuck shit?
Yeah. Quit it.
I think
you better be hexed. You better be bewitched.
You better be hexed. I can agree with that. 100%.
Absolutely.
So I'm looking really, yes. But anyway, head on over to Meeks' channel. I mean, shit, girl. Like, you produce so much content.
I know. I do this to myself. At first, I was like, oh, I'll watch this and this and this and this. And I was like, wait.
I remember we were talking about that, and just like, I was just like, yeah, man, I'm just like really kind of struggling with this one edit. And she was like, oh yeah, like I put out like 2 videos today or something like that. And I was just like, it was like Jim Carrey in The Mask, like my jaw just like hit the ground. It was like, oh my God, I gotta step my fucking YouTube pussy up. That is for goddamn sure. But so thank you for hanging out with us, and thank you for being an inspiration to us in that way and a bunch of other ways. Thank you so much, my dear. Everybody, take it easy. Be kind to each other. Be vigilant. Stay safe. Wear a mask. And we will
wear a mask.
We will talk to y'all later. Bye, everybody.
Bye, guys.
Bye.